Welcome to the Hawks Talk podcast. All things Blackburn Hawks.
In behind the defence, cuts around, scores! Blackburn Hawks win this game 8 goals to 5.
All the latest news, player interviews and much more.
Shoots, scores!
Hawks Talk.
Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. My name is Graham Hamilton. Hope you're doing well and thank you for tuning in. We've got an excellent show lined up for you. We've got 3 Hawks players on the episode for a chat. But before all of that, we've got some information for you as well. We'll start off with the recent results. The Hawks have played 4 games in October, 3 in the Morley Conference and 1 in the Midlands Cup. Kicking off the month with a home league win, 10-7 against the Billingham Stars. Always good to see that one. Then we were in action in the Midlands Cup away to the Widnes Wild, coming away from that one with an 8-2 loss. Moving on, we was home and away against the Whitley Warriors. First up was the home game. Hawks coming out of that one with a 6-4 win, and away resulted in a 10-1 loss. At this point of recording, the Hawks are sitting at 5th in the Morley Conference on 6 points, having played 5 games, won 3 and lost 2, and we are currently sitting at 4th in the Midlands Cup standings. All this information can be found on the Hawks website and the EIHA website. All of those links will be in the description for you as well. Now, in case you missed it, the Hawks have launched the Hawks Mag, the official fan magazine of the Blackburn Hawks, and it's available for free. Yeah, that's right. It'll cost you absolutely nothing. Head over to the Hawks website, blackburnhawks.com, or check our socials, and I'll also put a link in the description for you as well. It's got some great content in there. I especially like the Coach's Huddle. It was a great read, but there's much more in there as well. So make sure you grab a copy of that one. Tickets are also available for the next home fixture on November 14th. That's a Sunday against the Sheffield Scimitars. And I have it on very good authority that for the first time the team will be rocking the red by wearing our red alternate jersey, which I can't wait to see in action for the first time on the ice. Another thing worth noting for you as well, the cut-off date for guaranteed Christmas delivery of jerseys and other Hawks merch is the 8th of November, so make sure you get those purchased so you don't miss out. One final thing before we get into this episode's interview. Recently, Hawks forward Aaron Davis broke the all-time Blackburn Hawks point scorer record, knocking Hawks legend Bobby Haig off the top. Aaron has scored 428 points in 396 games for the Hawks, a fantastic achievement. So congratulations to Aaron from everyone involved at the Blackburn Hawks. Here is a message from Carl Everett, one of the co-owners of the Hawks.
On behalf of myself, Graham Lomax, and everyone at the Blackburn Hawks, just want to say a huge congratulations to number 8, Aaron Davis, on achieving the record of all-time point scorer for the Blackburn Hawks Ice Hockey Club, achieving an incredible 428 points in 396 games. Well done, Aaron. I know it's been a goal of yours to achieve it, and we're very, very proud to have you part of this team and part of this club. I wish you well, and I hope you play many more games or many more seasons for us and increase that points tally. Well done. Take care.
So without further ado, let's get into this episode's interview.
Hawks Talk.
On the Hawks Talk podcast, we are joined by alternate captain Jared Dickinson. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
We also have the pleasure of forward MJ Clancy. How's it going?
I'm not bad, thanks. Good to be here.
And finally, last but by no means least, the man with a good vocabulary, apparently, Netminder for the Hawks, Mike Rogers. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks for having me.
Let's start off the episode talking about the last home game, which was against the Whitley Warriors. We came out of that one with a 6-4 win. It's always a tough fixture against Whitley. And Jared, you scored a hat-trick. So tell us your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I just think it was a very good team effort, really. We all bought into the coach's plans, the systems that he put in place. And like we said, it just gelled really well. Luckily, everything I touched seemed to go in the back of the net, which was helpful for the team. But it was definitely a team effort, not individual from anyone's behalf. So I think that's the key to the victory, to be honest.
I think one thing that stuck out for me was that pass by Reese, like tape to tape. It was perfect for your first goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, he definitely was. He had very good composure on the puck at the time. He waited to the perfect opportunity and then tape to tape pass. which definitely helped me put the puck in the back of the net.
And your third one was an empty netter from the defensive face-off circle. Now, be honest, were you trying for a goal or was it just a clearance attempt?
No, I definitely was trying for the goal. I think after playing hockey for years, you have a good understanding of the ice pad. So you're always aware of where you're stood and where the net would be in that respect, especially when the empty net is available. You're definitely looking to put it in the back of the net if the opportunity arises. So yeah, it was definitely a goal attempt, as much as it does look like a clearance on the video when looking back. But yeah, I'm very pleased it went in, to be honest.
I'm going to say, I bet you were pleased when that hit the back of the net.
Yeah, it seemed to go in slow motion when looking back on the video, and all the comments from the fans and things from the video as well. There was a lot of suspense by the sounds of it with how slow the puck was actually travelling. So when it went in, it was quite a relief.
Now, in that game, Mike, you had to come off the bench very early, didn't you, with Ashley coming down with an injury?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 25 seconds in, I believe it was.
Coming off the bench like that as a backup netminder, is it difficult to get yourself dialed in and in the zone?
Yeah, it can be. It really depends. I suppose, as bad as it was what happened, with it only being 25 seconds in, I wasn't too cold having been sat on the bench for however many minutes by that point. And it's always hard because whilst your pre-game prep doesn't really change all that much, it is getting your head in the zone just before the game starts when you're on the ice. So missing out on that, it does bear some sort of impact on your performance. But at that point, I think it was just a case of getting out there and just putting in my best performance.
MJ, how was that game for you?
I think looking back, I think very similar to what Jared said, it was a very good team effort all around. I think they're the games that the boys have got to get up for, the big gritty games where you've got to get involved, you've got to get in the corners and you've got to dig for the win. And I think that's what everyone did there.
So how was the support in the arena for the game, do you think? Was it loud enough and could you hear it on the ice?
Yeah, massively. I think the supporters were massive for us in that game. They were absolutely booming. I don't think I've heard the ring like that for a while, so it was nice. I mean, they got behind everyone. You could hear them cheering, you could hear them booing at Whitley. It was meant to be in there, and it really got a good atmosphere for the lads. And I think that only helps push people to do well.
I was just going to say, do you feel the pressure when it's like that, when it's quite a busy environment, or do you feed off it?
I think most people say the same. I think most people feed off it, and I'm definitely the same. I think it just gets you going, really. I think as a team, it really pushes you because you know what you're playing for. Them fans, without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So you've got to.
As a netminder, Mike, I mean, different rinks have different setups, and sometimes you can have the fans directly behind you, behind the glass pretty much. Can you get distracted with that sometimes?
To be honest, you try and tend to sort of tune it out almost, trying to focus on your game as you do. But I do have to say, the Blackburn fans, quite rightly, as MJ said, having them behind you being that loud, it really does sort of spur you on and help you. So I'd say it's never really, you don't let it get to you negatively, but positively, it can be a massive boost, 100%, especially with Blackburn on Sunday. Goodness, it's, I've not heard a rink like that before, I'm not going to lie.
Got to talk now about the most recent game, away to the Whitley Warriors this time. The Bay, it's always a difficult place to go. They do have the best chips and gravy in the league, I've got to say. And sadly, we did come out of that one with a 10-1 loss. I didn't get to go to the game, but I did listen on the Warriors radio. I've got to say there's some great coverage from those guys on that one, so shout out to them. But listening into the game, I don't think that the 10-1 scoreline reflected the game. I think it was a little bit more closer than that scoreline would suggest. Maybe just lost it in the second period. What were your thoughts, Jared, coming out of that game?
Yeah, the scoreline definitely doesn't reflect the performance, to be honest. I think for the most part, we were neck and neck, really. It was going a lot of good battles, a lot of end-to-end play. I think they're just very familiar and experienced with their own rink, how to utilise the surface themselves. And yeah, they played a bit more of a dump and chase style of play, which doesn't bode well for likes of ourselves, which are very more strategic based, to be honest. So with the small ice surface, it was a dump in and they were already flying and we couldn't really counter that. It took a short while for us to understand what they was doing and really try and counter it ourselves. And we started to implement the same style of play. And I think that boded well towards the end of the second and the third period, to be honest. A couple of calls didn't go our way. It was a bit of a struggle where we went down by a goal from the penalty shot. And then straight after that, we went down on a 5-on-3, which, to be honest, probably killed the game. And our hopes really of wanting to win put us on the back foot, and we just struggled. It was in a rut at that point, and we couldn't come out of it.
We can't go on about that game without talking about the fight at the end of it. Was any of you lads involved in that?
No, I don't think either of us three were involved in the fight itself. I was on the ice, so I was aware of what was going on. I believe it started from a bit of a late hit, and then obviously if that happens, especially at the end of the game, there's always going to be some repercussions, and that came about. Luckily, nobody got hurt, or seriously hurt at least. But if anything silly happens, especially at Whitley Bay, you're expecting some trouble to start. So, thankfully no one got hurt, but it was definitely an experience to say the least.
How did you find that game, MJ? Did you find it quite physical? I'm not 100% sure if you played Whitley at an adult level.
Yeah, I've played Whitley at adult. I've played in juniors, and to be honest, I think they're a different team. You're not going to that same sort of atmosphere you used to. They play really good hockey, to be honest. It's much different now. You're not going there getting ran all over the shop, and I think that allowed us to play a bit. I think especially in the third period and the first, I think we really competed quite well. I don't know, can't really make any excuses for the second, but that's where we lost that game, to be honest. Without that, I'd say for the first and third period, I think we really battled hard, and it was just a bit frustrating. And then, like Jared said, there's a bit of handbags at the end and things like that. But I think we've got quite a big team there, and we've got a good group of lads that want to stick up for each other. So I think it's nice in that way that everyone's protected in a way.
Just taking you back to the middle of October when we played the Billingham Stars, always good to get a win against them, 10-7. What did you think coming out of that game, MJ? Forgive me again, but I'm not 100% sure if you've played them for the first time at an adult level in that one.
Again, no, I've played up in Billingham. I've played in a few places against Billingham at Telford and things like that. And again, usually they've been quite a good team. They've got a few big guys. They've got quite a few young kids coming through that are really good. So for them and for us, I think it was a really good result. I think we could have done a lot more. We let them get a few goals that they shouldn't have by not clearing the pucks and things like that out front of net. But I think realistically that was a good result for us. And if we can get a few more like that, get the odd result against Whitley again, Billingham, we can do well this year.
Yeah, definitely. And there's loads of hockey still to be played. And another big game for you in that one, Jared, with 2 assists in that game.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable game to be a part of, to be honest. The team played extremely well for, I'd probably say, around 50 minutes of the game. Like many games we've had this year, it just slipped for 5-10 minutes, and it's really cost us. Luckily, we stayed in it towards the end of that game, and we pushed through. Aaron, I think, got the go-ahead goal towards the end, and that really spurred us on to keep the victory, really.
We're still pretty early on in the season, but are you happy with how it's going so far?
Yeah, I would say obviously we'd like a few more points, but again, with every loss there comes a learning aspect to our game, and with us being more of a rebuilding team, it definitely does bode well for us, to be honest. We get to learn from our mistakes, and that can only improve us in the long term.
Just moving away from the games for a minute to talk about some stuff inside the locker room. First of all, there's a recent story involving a netminder and a nose piercing, isn't there?
Oh, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life is watching him getting the sweat shots.
Go on, tell me, what happened?
MJ, you sell it better.
We were in the changing room before the last Whitley game.
It was before Whitley, yeah.
Before last Whitley game, everyone was getting all the warm-up game and things. People were off playing two-touch, and Mike comes out the toilet and just put on his sweat top, and he got stuck to his nose piercing. And he couldn't get it off. It had me in bits. I was ruined. And so, I think it might have even been Jared that helped me get it off.
It sure was. Assistant captain coming to the rescue, obviously. Yeah.
while I was laughing my head off, Jared kindly swept in like a knight in shining armour and saved Mike from his nose pissing.
See, the problem is, though, it had caught on like the waist bit of it. It wasn't like the neck that had gotten caught. So my arms were up by my head. I couldn't get my arms down.
Superb. Now, as players, you can get fined for certain things, can't you? What sort of things can you get fined for?
It's quite a variety of things, to be honest, from forgetting equipment, being late on, shooting after the whistle on training and things like that. So there's a bit. I think there's quite a bit in the pot at the minute. I think we must be up to 80 quid in fines. So the fine master's doing a good job. That's for sure.
How much is it per fine, or does it sort of depend on the I don't know, the offence?
Yeah, it depends on the severity, to be honest. So I think like a 10-minute personal misconduct might be like a tenner, or late for a game might be a tenner, whereas shooting a puck after a whistle on training might be something like £2.
Now, there's a sheriff, I believe that's the title, who's in charge of collecting all the fines. Who's that?
That would be Matty Wainwright. He's the fine master this year, and he's doing a very, very good job of it, to be honest. He's getting the money in, that's for sure. So,
how come he's the sheriff? It's a brilliant title to have that, by the way, but who put him in charge of that?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I think it's something Matty's done. I know he's done it in the past in D-side and things like that. He takes the role well, he takes it seriously, and it means the boys will get a good night out at the end of the year.
It's all right then, isn't it? Who's the worst culprit then for getting fined?
I was going to say, I think Michael Novak likes a good shot after the whistle, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I think he's impartial to a couple of them.
I think the two brothers are also up there for fines at the minute, both Logan and Kearney.
That's a shock. Who would you say are the biggest characters in the dressing room? I've got a pretty good idea who they are, but I want to hear it from you guys.
I think it's quite a big room in general, to be honest. I think there's quite a few big presences in there, quite a few big characters. You know, you like Gary Dickinson. He's a good laugh. Tevs is brilliant in the changing room. I think as a whole, there's not many real quiet lads. I think there's quite a few that can get a team going. I think Bacon, one of the newest additions, I think he'll be a massive boost in the changing room as well.
I've got to say, when I saw the signing of Bacon, I had to double check that it wasn't Kevin Bacon. But now all three of you have played hockey elsewhere before coming here. So what was it attracted you to come and play for the Hawks?
Well, it was partly the mini-series. So obviously I've been working with Dave Clancy since the start of it. And Dave put across with the mini-series that they were looking for a backup goalie. And after learning about the change of ownership, the new setup and everything that they were implementing and all the staff, it seemed like a really, really good opportunity and a great place to sort of develop my hockey, both on the ice and just experiencing hockey at a higher, more professional level. So it was definitely a great introduction there, and it really was an attractive opportunity. You don't get those very often, so I definitely took that one as soon as I could.
What about you, Jared? You've been with the Hawks for a couple of seasons now, but before that you were with the Altrincham Aces, Manchester Phoenix and Manchester Storm. What was it that attracted you to come and play at Blackburn?
I think it was just a fresh opportunity, wipe the slate clean. I've played at Altrincham for all my senior career, and yeah, I felt like I've not necessarily achieved everything I wanted to at Altrincham, but it was more of, I was kind of, I don't know how you describe it, just kind of going through the motions, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in some respects, I needed a bit of a kick up the arse.
New broom, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Just a fresh start, just to see if I can get some kind of positivity back in the game, the love for the sport again, and a bit of competition as well, because that's always a good thing to have within sport. So that was the main draw initially. And again, just for returning for this year, just as Mike said, it's very professional atmosphere, everything that the management have brought in and put in place, all the systems and all the volunteers and everything really that they've put together. It's really good. So it was a very inviting proposal, really, and that's why I chose to stay.
And finally, you, MJ, what was it that brought you to the Hawks?
So to be honest, I just came up for a bit of summer ice time. It was something I wanted to come in the mini-series, but to be honest, I wasn't at my fittest at the time, and I didn't want to come into a club not being able to give or show what I could do. So I was just coming for summer ice, and then I got chatting to the ownership, and they were telling me about everything they were bringing in and what the plans are for the club, and it all went from there. And I think when you get in the change room, you get around the lads, it was hard to say no, to be honest, because it was just such a great and inviting group. We got on really well. The management are providing us with everything we need to play at this level, and I, to be honest, just couldn't say no.
Now, I've noticed all the Dynamis sport tracksuits and the caps and things before and after games, which I've got to say look great. How vital is it to you guys to have an identity as a club and, more importantly, as players?
Oh, it's massively important. Yeah, it really helps sort of drive home the whole, like, you're not an individual, you're part of a team, you're part of something bigger type of thought process. And it, it's good for everyone to identify, like, after the games when they see us walking around, to see who we are outside of the hockey gear kind of thing. It's I think it's really important. I think it's a really good thing.
Now, Mike, slightly off topic, this one. It's something that I want to know for myself, and I've always wondered this with Netminders. Why did they pick that position? Is it the cool looking pads and equipment, or is it some kind of adrenaline thing?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I will admit, I initially got drawn to it purely for the amount of equipment that you can always tinker with. It's endless, the amount of things you can change and customize with your gear. But then, yeah, it is quite a thrilling position. Like, obviously, everyone thinks of hockey, scoring a goal and making a great pass, for example. It's all, that would be a great adrenaline hit. But nothing for me quite beats getting a slap shot sent at me from the blue line and being able to make that save. It's it really makes me feel like I contribute to the team a lot. Making a big save. It's the boys all tap the sticks, and it's the adrenaline of not only the shot, but then also being the last line of defense. It's a good feeling.
Which out of the teams you've played against so far would you say has had the biggest goal threat? I mean, there's been various different shots on target totals and things like that, but which one have you found most difficult to play against?
I'd say probably Whitley Bay so far. You can probably tell from the score lines, unfortunately, in the most recent game at least. But they move the puck so well. They're so well disciplined in what they do and where they are that they always just seem to find a spot where they're sort of not unchallenged, but they find the sneaky spots where they can spin around and get a quick shot off. I'd say that just the speed of it is their strengths, I suppose. But that's not to say, I mean, at this league, honestly, everyone shoots so well and everyone's so tactical. It's not really a clear outstanding, but it is one thing that I did notice from playing against Whitley. Now,
Jared, how are you finding the responsibility of being an alternate captain, and who was it that approached you about being in that role?
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock, to be honest. I didn't see it coming, I must admit. It was Mike, the coach, who came and approached me regarding the position. He felt like it was a good thing for me to be a part of, to be able to step up and show some leadership with the experience that I've got throughout the years of playing ice hockey. He felt like I could bring something to the team. With that said, I felt very privileged, and I've obviously accepted the opportunity because I feel like it probably is something I could step into, especially in the coming months, and hopefully I can progress and implement some more professionalism into the club, and hopefully the players appreciate everything that I am doing or will do in the near future. And it's really good, to be honest. I'm glad that I was approached. Hopefully I'll do a good job.
Now, I remember back on episode 2 of the podcast when we spoke to Ryan Finity, he spoke very highly of you as a player. And when I saw that you've been announced as an alternate, I wasn't surprised at all. Personally, I think it's a great move, and the proof's been in the pudding, so to speak, with you picking up lots of goals and assists. You've had a great season so far, and long may it continue. Now I'm going to abuse my position as the one asking the questions here. And I'm not sure I should ask you this one, NJ, but I will anyway, because I want to know, to be honest. Your dad's the head coach here at the Hawks, and if you and him had a penalty shootout competition against each other, best out of 5, who's winning that?
I'm going to have to say me, but who knows? I've been close in Juice Boy a few times now, so it'd have to go to the day. It depends on the crowd, who's rooting for who, but it'd be an interesting one, that's for sure.
I think we'll have to speak to Carl and Graham, see if we can arrange that at the end of the season or something, with some forfeits involved.
I like it.
Now, obviously, you spend most of your weekends travelling around playing hockey, home and away. Do you ever get time to watch the NHL or different leagues around the world?
I think, to be fair, when you play as much as we do, when you're playing, sometimes you've got your double headers and things like that. It does get hard to watch other bits of hockey. You concentrate on what you play yourself. So I know a lot of people in this league have their own day jobs. So it's hard when you've got games that are on at stupid o'clock in the morning. It's not always something you can watch, unfortunately. But when we get the opportunity, I think most people would like to say they watch a fair bit. Like,
I've got to ask you all this question as well. Which NHL team do you support? Now, the right answer is the Penguins, just so you know.
All right, Paul. If I was to go with any, I'd definitely say Pittsburgh.
What a lad.
From camps and things when I was younger, we had a strength and conditioning coach come over from Pittsburgh and things like that. So it was kind of brought in that way for me.
That's amazing. What about you, Mike?
I tended to follow the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm pretty sure that might be a bit of a controversial one recently, but yeah, it was mainly with Marc-Andre Fleury, favourite goalie.
I was going to say.
Yeah, as soon as he got signed, I was all on board with the Vegas train there.
What about you, Jared?
I don't really have a particular team that I follow. With all sports away from anything really, I always follow the team that I'm either local to. So with football, it's Manchester City. With ice hockey, the first NHL team I watched live was the New York Rangers. So for me, that would probably be the team I would support the most and follow. But I don't really have a team that I would say I do support necessarily and follow them like consistently. I like watching all the NHL teams, especially teams like Tampa Bay who move the puck so well. So there's a lot to take from the plays such as that. So yeah, New York Rangers would be probably the team that I support.
Now, there's some tough games coming up in November. Which games do you think, Jared, will be the biggest challenge to you? Obviously, you've got Sheffield, you've got some more, you've got Billingham again, and 2 against Solihull.
I think Solihull, to be honest, they're such a well-drilled team. They're extremely talented. They've got a strength in numbers. They've got good depth to the team. And to be honest, that's probably the team that we need to take points off. Billingham, we've done it already. We know we can beat them. Sheffield, we understand what they're about. Again, they're a very drilled team. Played together for a very long time. Lots of good chemistry. So, but again, we know we've played them so many times over the years, and we understand how to beat them. It's just on the day whether we can pull through as a team and get the points. So Solihull was definitely the team that I feel is the crucial games, to be honest, to get all the points, as many points as we can.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What do you think, MJ? Which one are you looking forward to playing, or do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you?
So for me personally, I think the way the season started to shape, I think Sheffield's quite a big one. I think they've been a bit of a bogey team for us in pre-season and things like that. So for me, I really want to take it to Sheffield. I want to come away with those points in that game. I think show people that these are the points we can take. Very similar Solihull. If we're picking up points in all these games, I mean, there's no reason why we're not going to be in the top half of the league going into Christmas.
And finally, what about you, Mike? Which team are you looking forward to playing against?
Yeah, I'm excited to play Solihull. Partly as Jared said, just because they're such a well-disciplined team and they coordinate so well. I think it's going to be a tough, gritty game, and I think that's going to be really good, especially playing at their barn, as I've learned, with slightly different playing conditions, no plexi netting all around. It's going to be challenging, but I think if we can, as Jared said, steal the points there, that's going to be a real big boost of momentum.
Finally, then, I'll ask you all this. I've got to start with you, Mike. What are your expectations for the rest of the season? And is there any goals that you'd like to accomplish?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to finish the season on a at least a 90% save average. It's just a personal goal of mine that I want to hit, and just generally develop as a netminder. Obviously, I've not played for all that long, so if I can try and build on this as much as possible, as fast as possible, and win some games for the boys and be reliable. That's the main thing that I want to accomplish.
How long have you been playing for then, Mike?
So I played with the D-Side Dragons last season, and then just around a season of recreational hockey before that.
I didn't know that. To be fair, at the level you're at now, after such a short space of time, fair play, well done to you.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah.
What about you, MJ? What are your expectations and goals for the season?
I think for me, I think a lot of it's coming back from where I was. I had a couple of bad years, couple of years with a few big injuries, and now I just want to get back to where I can be, establish myself in Blackburn as quite a reliable guy. I think, working on the PKs and things like that, that's where I'm quite happy doing the gritty bits, and that's where I want to be for Blackburn, to be honest.
And finally, what about you, Jared? Are you going to go for top goal scorer this year, top points?
No, I think my time for scoring points is probably long gone. I play more of a team role now, fitting into the defence or to the forwards, wherever suits the team on that given day. Goals for the season, probably a bit less selfish in terms of personal, but I think as a team, it's all about gaining some chemistry, building the foundations really for the next few years, and gaining some form of consistency as well. That's what we're lacking at the moment. So if we can towards the end of the season have some form of consistency, know that we're strong defensively, and we know we can score goals. We've got some quality individuals up front, like Sir Jacob and Peter, that can on a daily basis, every weekend, score the goals. So as long as we can build the defence and gain the consistency, I think going forward it'll be a very good a good time for Blackburn, to be honest, and hockey for the future.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys for coming on the show. We'll have you all back on very soon, I'm sure. Good luck against Solihull this weekend, and good luck for the rest of the season as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It's been a pleasure.
Hawks Talk.
That was a great insight there from the lads. Fantastic to have them all on the show, and it's good to see the bond already there in the dressing room. Now, the Hawks cheerleaders, you might have seen them around the rink already, are still recruiting. So if you are age 16 and over and want to get involved, just send an email over to cheerleading@blackburnhawks.com, and they will get in touch with you with all the relevant information you'll need. Don't forget as well, grab your tickets to see the Hawks rock the red against the Sheffield Scimitars on the 14th of November. Can't wait for that one. And also grab your free copy of the Hawks mag from the Blackburn Hawks website. Thank you once again for tuning into this episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on whichever platform you're listening to us on. We want to get you, the Hawks fans, involved as much as possible. So if you've got any suggestions, any guests you'd like us to have on, just send me an email, hawkstalk@blackburnhawks.com. Thank you once again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Hawks Talk.